But I just hope that these recommendations are helpful, and I hope it's fun for us all to kind of like look back at all the places I went to. It's probably only fun for me, but who cares? Who cares? It's my channel. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jacy and I'm going to be doing something a little bit different in this video. So if you've been following me for a while, you know that I love to do my Los Angeles bucket list video series. So in that series, in each video, I basically visit a coffee, a lunch or dinner place, a dessert, and I do an activity in one video, kind of exploring LA, seeing what's worth it, checking out places that people recommend, and testing out all of the local cuisine and things to do. I love making these videos because again, it gets me out exploring, it gets me testing out things, and making sure I'm not just eating the same thing every time. I can't just have Taco Bell for every meal. So I only started this series back in June, so it's been about half a year, but I thought it'd be fun to kind of start this tradition of just ranking all of the things that I did and tried from the previous year in the new year. So it is now 2021, so we will be ranking the best and worst things that I tried from 2020. Now I'm not gonna say best or worst because everything that I tried and did was delicious and fun. I am that person where I am so easy to please. I could order a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and even if you charge me 15 bucks, I'll be like, you know what? It was still a really good PB&J sandwich. I'll allow it. So everything on this list, I'm not gonna say best or worst. I'm gonna say you should either savor it or skip it. Those are the words I'm gonna use because a lot of the things in my skip list were really fun to try. They're very well renowned, but I think there are some better options out there. So again, these are just my opinions, they're my recommendations, and if you wanna come for me, fight me in the comments, fight me. So let's start with coffee. My first recommendation for coffee to skip would be Dinosaur Coffee. So I tried Dinosaur Coffee solely because I loved their branding online and I showed up and I did not receive that kind of branding. I was a little disappointed because I wanted to Instagram a cute cup and I really wanted to show the world their adorable little logos and I didn't get that. Now, I think this is because of COVID times and the fact that everything's to go, that it just didn't make sense to spend all that money on marketing materials. But I've never had a bad coffee and been like, this is gross, I don't want this. So much of my coffee experience is based on the vibes of the shop, how friendly the customer experience is, and how cute the cup is. And this one just really fell flat, especially based on my expectations. So I would say during COVID times, skip Dinosaur Coffee, and hopefully when things open back up, they can bring some of that cute branding back, but it just wasn't worth it for me. Now the coffee I would recommend you savor is Coffee for Sasquatch. I loved this place. I walked in with my mom, it was so bright and airy, it was so Instagrammable, it was so cute. Immediately, the baristas were like, hey, would you guys like some stickers? Like they were chatting with us, they created such a fun and friendly vibe that it made for the experience. Now, of course, with all of these coffee shops, there is no dining in, so I didn't want to consider that for all of these places as like whether you should save or skip them. But I will say that once things open back up, this will be the coffee shop that I go to work in. It was just so cool to look at. The customer service was mwah, excellent, and the lattes that we got were delicious. So I would recommend Coffee for Sasquatch. The next category is breakfast. So the breakfast place that I suggest you skip, and don't come for me for this one, or do, because I don't care, is Urth Café. So I went to Urth Café with my sister and her eggs were very undercooked and mine were very overcooked and we kind of wanted them flip-flopped. But the reason why I would say skip Urth Café is it's kind of like an influencer bait trap. So they get a bunch of influencers and celebrities coming here because they do create very pretty food, but it just wasn't that tasty, you know? It was very overpriced, and yeah, it was like pretty to look at, but I've had way better tasting food at other places for much cheaper. Since I didn't see like Harry Styles sitting down and eating, it wasn't worth it to me. So I would suggest you skip Urth Café because there are better things out there. Such as my recommendation for savoring this breakfast place, and that would be Sqirl Cafe. I went to Sqirl Cafe with my mom because we wanted to try their famed ricotta toast and it lived up to the expectations. I thought this was the most unique thing I have eaten in LA so far. So basically it was like a thick piece of brioche toast with ricotta cheese on it. And the brioche toast is kind of sweet, especially with the jam that they put on it, but the ricotta cheese kind of like subdues it a little bit, makes it a little bit more savory. So it was this really interesting combination of flavors that I've never tried before. It was a little bit on the pricier side, but I've never had anything like it, and that's what we loved about it. So I would recommend for breakfast checking out Sqirl Cafe. For the lunch category, the place that I would skip, and this kind of hurts my heart to say, would be Apple Pan. I got a burger from Apple Pan. It was a hickory burger, and I had a great experience with them because their staff was so friendly, so nice, and the whole experience was very seamless. However, my burger was literally like the end of a head of lettuce, and it was like that crunchy part. It took up so much that I had to remove the lettuce and just eat it without. And that kind of dulled on my experience a little bit. However, I would insert a little asterisk saying it was a good burger, but I'm such an In-N-Out fan that I don't think you can beat an In-N-Out burger for the price unless it's some super loaded restaurant burger with like blue cheese or truffle aioli or something like that. That this burger, even without the whole lettuce mishap, would have just been okay. So if you want a more like hometown kind of burger, yeah, Apple Pan would be good. It's not like a chain franchise kind of burger, but overall I would consider it just decent. But the lunch place that I would recommend that you savor would be Granville Café, getting their butternut squash soup. I don't order soup very often at restaurants. I think that's because I've worked in a lot of restaurants in my time, and soup was always the free thing that you got. So I've been souped out. I got souped out a long time ago. So I only ever order soup if it's something really unique. So I went to Granville Café to check out this butternut squash soup as kind of a fall activity, and it was delicious. It was sweet, but savory. It was warm, everything about it. I was like, this is such a unique flavor. And in that video, I mentioned that it almost tasted like tiki masala a little bit. So if you like that kind of flavor, I would really recommend this. It again was just a very individual experience where I've never tasted anything like that, but I would highly recommend and definitely go again. In the summertime, soup isn't gonna sound that great, but during fall, oh, hit the spot. Moving on to dinner, the place that I would skip for dinner, and again, you guys might hate me for this, would be Canter's Deli. Canter's Deli is so well renowned here in Los Angeles. It is a staple of delis here in this city, and the fact that I'm even saying to skip it is sacrilegious, but hear me out. I have grown up with my parents going to this other deli in Palm Springs called, what's it called? Called Sherman's Deli, where we would also get pastrami sandwiches. Those are very loaded sandwiches, super tasty. And I guess my parents had gone to Canter's a couple times because it is very similar, but this was the first time my mom had gone in like 2 decades or something. And it was a little disappointing compared to Sherman's. It was about double the price. So I kid you not, each sandwich was over $20, I believe. And it was not flavorful. I had to add salt to mine because I was like, I feel like I don't even taste anything. So I think because we're comparing it against a sandwich that we already love, that this one was very overpriced and just not as tasty. But it is one of those places you check out once and that's kind of it. I will not be revisiting because I don't think it was flavorful enough to warrant the price and to warrant going there again. A place that I do recommend that you savor is kind of a dark horse in this race, and that would be the Bun Shop. So I mentioned in one of my videos that I had been to the Bun Shop when it used to be called the Bun Truck back when I was in college. They have since graduated to a brick and mortar store and are doing very well in this whole Korean Mexican fusion type of food. And they are doing it well. Their steamed buns are so delicious, but what I highly recommend is their cheese corn. I have been, and I'm trying not to revisit places since doing this whole bucket list thing. I've been back to the Bun Shop 4 times just for their cheese corn. It is so delicious, so savory. It like hits you in your glands back here. You know when you eat something and you're like, oh, you get like chills and it like almost makes you cringe? Their cheese corn does that, and it is so good. Probably because I'm addicted to cheese. Yeah, that's probably what it is, but it is so good. Try their cheese corn, try their steamed buns, check out the Bun Shop. I love them. The next category is dessert, and the place that I recommend that you skip for dessert is the pie hole. So the pie hole is known for basically doing bite-sized versions of pie. So instead of getting a slice of pie, they kind of like encase it into like a little hot pockety type thing, like a little bagel bite of pie. But I don't like that because the crust to filling ratio is a lot different than a slice of pie, and so it made it seem more dry than it actually was. So I got their regular pumpkin pie hole during the fall season, and it was just a little too crusty for my liking. I like a lot more of the filling. I still like the crust, of course, but because that ratio was off, I just didn't like that whole concept. So I will probably not be back to the pie hole. Instead, the place that I recommend, which I raved about during Vlogmas, is Déjà Vu Cupcakes. So Déjà Vu Cupcakes, I think I'm a little bit biased because I've been a lot more invested into shopping small businesses, you know, really helping the local economy. Because at Déjà Vu Cupcakes, I met the man that works there, and he gave me this whole spiel about how much heart and passion they put into each cupcake. You know, they make everything from scratch, that they were also kind of struggling during the pandemic, but how they're still fighting. They're still making semi-sweet cupcakes with frosting and coming out with new flavors every week. That it just really shows how passionate people are about their businesses, and you want to go out and support that. Not only that, but his cupcake was delicious. I will be going back because I meant to go for their gingerbread cupcake, and I was a week early, unfortunately, but the cranberry cream cupcake that I did get was delicious. Oh, I will definitely be checking them out again, and I recommend that you guys do. So Déjà Vu Cupcakes, I would say, is a place you should savor for dessert. The last and final category of places I would recommend would be my activity. So I did a lot of activities over the past 6 months. Mind you, they were all COVID related activities. So I couldn't go to any like really big events or festivals or concerts, that sort of thing, which I love to do, and I can't wait for those things to be available again. But I did do things that were either free or COVID safe. So this included going on a lot of hikes, exploring just some of the sites, going to the beach, going to a bookstore even. So my recommendation for something that you should skip in LA in terms of an activity within the realm of COVID would be Malibu Beach. So I went to Malibu Beach with my sister, my cousin, my brother, and his girlfriend, and we went to a place called Surfrider Beach in Malibu. And so Malibu is always raved about as being the most beautiful beaches in California. The cliff sides are wonderful, the sunsets are incredible. It was, but the problem was it was so packed that it made us feel claustrophobic and basically disgusted. Compared to Santa Monica's a sprawling beach. You know, you basically have to walk a half mile on the sand before you even get to the water, get to the waves. This was the opposite, where there was literally like the width of my living room of sand before it's the water. Because of that, everybody is cramped on the tiniest margin and strip of beach. We did not stay for more than 2 hours because it was just so cramped and we did not feel comfortable being there. Now, that could have also been the day that we went on. I think we either went on a holiday or a Sunday, something like that. So that was kind of our fault for going on a really busy day. But I think because of that, just how small the beach felt, that it's like, okay, so the only time I can really go to Malibu and enjoy myself and my 6 feet of social distancing is on like a Tuesday morning. That doesn't work for my schedule, that doesn't work. So I was a little bit disappointed with Malibu Surfrider Beach, so that would be a place I would skip unless you can go on one of those off days. Now, an activity that I recommend you savor would be hiking to the Hollywood sign. This is one of those things that is just so iconic if you come to LA, but it's a free activity. I've had several friends come out and visit me, and I would say, hey, you wanna go hike the Hollywood sign? And they'd be like, yes, I've never done that. It makes for great photo opportunities. It's a great way to just catch up with somebody outdoors where you kind of feel a little bit more safe, but it's a free and fun and good activity for your body. But it's just one of those really cool activities that I feel like if you really do come out to LA, it is not overrated at all. I am not sick of seeing the Hollywood sign, and I would definitely recommend you hike it sometime in your life. So those were my savors and skips of 2020. I'm really excited to do this in a year where I have a full year's worth of activities and restaurants and places that I've tried under my belt that I can recommend to you guys. I'd also someday love to add to the list, maybe like bars or cocktail recommendations. However, that makes no sense right now because you can't dine in LA, and I'm not about to start ordering $12 cocktails to bring home and drink. That's just weird, you know? You get a cocktail for the experience, but who knows what the world will look like in like a half a year from now, so maybe that's something I can add. So I hope that these were helpful for you if you are planning to move to LA or even visit LA. Now, again, these are very subjective to me because I live here and I'm cheap. So if you are coming for like a weekend trip, you know, check out Canter's, check out Sprinkles, check out Urth Café. You know, those are very iconic LA things that are just cool to try if it's your first time out here or your only time out here. But if you're coming out here a lot, or maybe you live out here, I would recommend some of these places just because it's more bang for your buck, you're gonna get a better experience, and you might just get like a better tasting dish, you know, than some of the overrated places. But that's gonna be it for me today. Make sure to like and subscribe so you can follow along for future bucket list videos. They're some of my favorite to make, and I plan on doing about 1 video a month, maybe 2, we'll see. So let me know if you guys like videos like this, comment down below so I know that I can keep up with this kind of content. But I thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you'll join me in the future. So I'll see you next time. Toodles! Such as my recommendation for savoring this breakfast place. Such as my recommendation for savoring a oh my god. Such as savoring this breakfast place.